So in this video, I'm going to talk about obsession, right? And before I even get into it, please like, comment, and subscribe because I know in this video, I'm going to share some gems that's going to help you in the journey of building a revenue generating brand, right? So please click that subscribe button below. Make sure that you like the video and make sure you comment if you find this interesting. If you feel that this video genuinely helps you, then please, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support and yeah, please do like, comment, subscribe. But in the meantime, let's just get straight into it and I can share my screen. So, obsession, the definition, right, according to Google or Merriam-Webster actually, an obsession is an uncontrollable, persistent preoccupation with a specific idea, desire, or feeling that dominates a person's thoughts, right? It often refers to an intense interest or fixation that is difficult to ignore, even when the person recognizes it as unreasonable or disruptive. And I want you to really think about that definition when I go through this whole video talking about the topic at hand, because in this game, right, in this life, I personally feel that you need to be obsessed with what it is that you want to achieve, right? And, as a disclaimer, I'm not going to say you need to be obsessed to the point of your health, right? Obviously, health is wealth. You need to focus on the most important things in order for you to continue to work towards your goals and your activity. So let me just make that disclaimer extremely clear before I continue. But when I talk about the idea of obsession, right, it was that word fixation on something that you want to do. There's nothing else that really hits your mind as much as this particular thing. And when you think about the aspect of branding and building a revenue generating brand, there's two aspects of obsession that I believe that you need to focus on if you really want to be able to do it in a successful way. So the first way, right? The first level of obsession is obsession with your brand. And with the obsession of your brand, it really comes down to the obsession of your identity, the obsession of understanding who you really are, right? And with that, I believe that when you are on a journey, right? We're all on a journey in our own right, working towards whatever goals that we've set ourselves to achieve. In the process of that, you have to understand exactly who you are and who you are becoming in the idea of you entering the new realm of things, right? And it is incredibly important to think of it like that. But then you then have to understand, what is it that is going to require me to get to this next stage, right? Compared to where I'm at now, what is it that's going to get me to this next stage in my life on the basis that I want to build a revenue generating brand? I want to be more visible and credible to my desired target audience. What is that approach that I need to take in order to do that? And when you get to that level of obsession with the idea of things, you really start to look at the intricacies of everything, right? You start to understand exactly what it is, the why behind the things that you are doing, why it interests you to even go down that path. Like, what is the thing that really makes sense for you, but then may be deemed as obsessive for other people, or a bit crazy, or a bit sort of, I say, out the loop, I would say, in that aspects of things. And you have to kind of think of that because with everything, we are living in a sea of sameness, right? And everyone is being shown the same things when it comes down to the ideas of branding, marketing, and PR in that regard. But then you have to consider, what is it that you are willing to do to make yourself stand out, right? And from that aspect, it is a thing where you have to accept that you would need to be in the aspects of obsessive, in the idea of doing things in a way that no one else is willing to do it or is thinking to do it. Because I always say that those are the two things that are important, and they make you stand out. If you are willing to do something and you're thinking to do something that no one else is willing to do or thinking to do, that is how you stand out in the grand scheme of things, because you are stepping into a new realm of doing things that not many people are privy to, or not many people thought to do, or not many people thought they were either comfortable to do it or competent to do it in that sense. So it's quite interesting for me, matter of fact, because when I always refer to my content and I say that I'm dropping videos on a daily basis, every single day I'm dropping one long form video, a lot of people, they look at me in sort of a weird way to just be like, that's a bit crazy or that's a bit obsessive in that sense. But I understood that it required me to do something as quote unquote crazy as this in order to gain a new level of appreciation and a new level of authority, on the basis that I am as obsessive in the process of doing these things and committed to doing these things, to the point where I will not be in a position where the level of success that I am working towards what will miss me. It will not miss me because I'm really focused on the aspects of building, growing, and developing and learning over time. And that level of obsession through that is something that has kept me going in the process, right? It's kept me building, it's kept me learning, and it's kept me enjoying the process, because I know where the end result leads to. I know what the end result looks like. And I always speak about the idea of reverse engineering your journey. And if you reverse engineer the journey to the point where you know where your end goal is, all is left really and truly is for you to focus on really hitting all those objectives for you to get to that goal and for you to be able to hit the ground running. And if that means that you need to go with a sort of obsessive mindset and the way of going about it in a way to hit your goals and to really focus on doing that, then it is in your best interest, if you're really looking to establish and stand out in a sea of sameness, as I say. So that's the one aspect of the obsession side of things, right? Obsession with your brand. But then the second aspect, which is incredibly important, because I always talk about your personal brand. Yes, that is incredibly important for you to build a level of trust. However, I always talk about your business brand, right? And with your business brand, you need to also be incredibly obsessive with being able to solve the pain points and the problems of your ICP. And if you are able to then understand that aspect, right? So you're obsessive over your brand, your identity, being able to showcase your most authentic self to the world. And then now you want to focus on your level of obsession with dealing with your pain points and the problems of your ICP, because you cannot build a brand, a revenue generating brand, without the idea of being able to build a target audience that can buy from you. And as far as business is concerned, there is, I imagine, no business owner in this world who doesn't have a problem, right? All of us have problems that we're going through in some way, shape, or form. However, it is your responsibility to ensure that you highlight your level of obsession towards being able to deal with their problems and their pain points, to the point where they recognize you as someone that can also resolve their pain points and problems. So when you think of it like that, you need to understand that it is in your best interest to showcase that. You can't showcase your level of obsession by not posting content. You cannot show your level of obsession by not talking to your ICP directly, by not attending events where your ICP lives or they hang out, by not being immersed in their world based on different news topics, articles, all the things that allow you to be understanding of what's going on in the industry and the landscape of the niche that you're focused on. You have to be obsessive to the point where you then understand everything there is to know within that world, for you to then know where you slot in as a way where you are able to solve those problems, right? And once you are able to incorporate your level of your personal brand to develop that level of trust, incorporated with your business brand to showcase that level of credibility, that credibility and proof that you can deliver on the work that you've done. But then for people to trust you, right, they have to be sure that you know what it is that you're doing, and they know what it is that you are talking about when it comes down to their problems and their pain points. And that's why that part is also incredibly important, where you then showcase that level of obsession for being able to solve the problems for other people. Because when you get to the stage where you are known as someone who solves problems all day, every day for your ICP, and you ultimately describe your offer and your solution as the painkiller to their problems, that is when there will be a shift. That is when there will be a shift in terms of how you are then perceived by your audience, by your ICP, by the people that will buy from you. And then that's when you continue to build and you develop and you scale and you use the testimonials and use the level of proof to continue to build and showcase. But you have to really reinforce that level of obsession with being able to deal with those pain points and problems. And when you've dealt with those problems, you then need to be able to reinforce it into content, to redevelop it into the ecosystem, to allow people to understand, yes, I am obsessed with solving these problems, and as a result I have solved these problems time and time again, where I've now developed a solution that is ultimately a painkiller for the problems that I have been obsessed for a number of months, years, decades, however long it takes in order for you to understand that level of problem solving and being able to really develop a painkiller in that aspect of things. And, I'll talk about the campaign brand a lot of the time as well. And with the campaign, you want to be memorable, right? You have to be obsessed with the idea of being memorable and being known as someone who done something that no one else can do or is thinking to do, as I mentioned previously. And it all comes down to the idea of you stepping into your truth, right? Stepping into your strengths and really doubling down on your strengths, because there are going to be things that you do that is very much second nature to you, that not many people are able to do themselves without a bit of practice or a bit of training anyway. But then when you know that you already have those skills in the bag and you have gone above and beyond to invest in strengthening those skills and developing it into a way that makes you incomparable to others, then that's when you really step into a whole new zone, right? And that is just you being obsessed with the idea of improving and getting better and really 1% each and every day, like I always mention in my videos. So, with that, I always say you have to be obsessive in the path of success and the greatness that you are looking to achieve. And by no means am I saying that you have to go crazy in the situation. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying that if you are really willing to go above and beyond to build a life on your own terms and to build a life that you have ultimately designed yourself, that allows it to be everything that you have worked towards, everything that you dreamed of, everything that you have set a path on in it in order to do it, it is in your best interest to then establish the ideas of how am I able to be as obsessive as possible to be able to do this, right? And not only just to do it, but to even be able to do it in a faster succession, in a quicker way, because you don't want to be doing it with the idea of having to do it for long, right? You want to be very strategic with the idea of it, and you want to really be able to get to your end destination in a short span of time, off the back of you being obsessive enough to learn, to grow, to develop, to get things wrong, and then to reiterate and to make pivots and to get it to the point where it just makes perfect sense over time. And that's the reason why I have set a timeline for myself. I've set a timeline. I gave myself 1,000 days, right? I gave myself 1,000 days, because it's not just me posting every single day. It's also me documenting and working through the process of me building a seven-figure brand in 1,000 days as well, which means I've given myself that amount of time to do everything that I've set out to do. So it may sound like 1,000 days is a lot, but then you have to think about it based on the actual aspect of things. Because regardless of what happens, the 1,000 days is still going to pass, right? It's like the idea of when you embark on the idea of thinking, should I go to university or not? And then you may feel, I don't want to go because of whatever reason it may be. But it doesn't change anything. It's still going to be 3 to 4 years of your time. So you have to consider what you're going to do with that time. And I said to myself, I'm going to focus on being able to produce this daily content, but also work towards the goals that I've set myself within the 1,000 days. So every single day is a reminder for me when I upload the content and share with you that I am also on a deadline where I need to be as obsessive as possible in order to hit my goal within that time frame. And then if that is done within the time frame as mentioned and complete, then that gives me all the level of authority, all the level of credibility to reinforce that for the rest of my life ultimately, because I set out what I wanted to do and I've done it. And by then no one can ever take that away from me. And with that, I want you to understand that when you have that level of obsession and you get something correct and you've done it and you've achieved it, just know that no one can take it away from you. So it's in your best interest to always use that as your credibility anchor to ensure that that is how you introduce yourself as that person, that go-to person, that key person of influence, and that obvious choice. So that's it from me. Be obsessive, right? Be obsessive, get the work done, really give it a good go. And, don't let anyone who doesn't understand try and take you off your course, because if they are not willing to put in the hours and to put in the work for them to ultimately change their life, especially if they continue to complain and to moan about how life isn't going their way or they don't like work or all that sort of stuff, if they're not willing to be obsessive enough to really make a change for the better, don't take advice from someone who's not willing to be as obsessive as you are in your pursuit of greatness and success. So that's it for me today. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I told you this will be a good video. If you got this far, if you got to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Please do subscribe and also check out my Substack. I post content on there every single week. And I also got the £1 million visibility blueprint series as well that I drop fortnightly. So I got content out there all the time that I'm dropping for you. So please check it out. Check out all my old videos as well. And please get in touch if you have any questions. But on that note, peace out, look after yourself, and I'll catch you tomorrow.